let me tell you that I am not really a fan of the story of Snow White. It's probably on the lower end of fairy tales that I've actually really liked. I picked this up because recently I've been really enjoying T. Kingfisher's books that I've been reading, and this is an author that I've read several books now at this point in time, and when I first started reading T. Kingfisher, I felt like the first couple of books I read I thought were alright. I think the first book I read by her was the Edgar Allan Poe retelling What Moves the Dead, and then after that I read Nettle and Bone, which I thought both of those were decent. But the more I read, I don't know if it's the style of writing that's growing on me and whatnot, but really starting to love T. Kingfisher. And this book, Hemlock and Silver, may just be the hands down best reimagining of Snow White that I've ever heard. And let's be honest, the way to my heart is if in your book you have a talking cat, well, I'm not going to say I'm automatically going to like it, but you're definitely upping the chances that I'm going to like your book if you have a talking cat in it. So anyways, follows the story of this healer, Anja. She has had a fascination with poisons since she was like 11 years old. And the whole thing is one day the king of the land comes to her, and he comes to her because she doesn't really have any ties or anything to gain from healing his daughter. And the king doesn't really trust a whole lot of people. Her dad does have some kind of like connection to like the royal court and stuff. Her dad's a merchant. They come from a family that has a decent amount of money, so they're not poor. They're also not uber wealthy or anything. Yeah, so the king comes to her because her dad had mentioned stuff about how she deals in poisons and is really good with figuring out what stuff is and has been able to cure some people of ailments that no one else could. The king reaches out to her in hopes that maybe she can come and help heal or figure out what's wrong with Snow, his daughter, because she's dying. And it seems like maybe she's been poisoned. Healer Anja, when she first got her start and interest in poison, she had gone to visit one of her relatives, and she was there with like her sisters and stuff. And they had this cousin who was like Mr. Know-It-All, and he's taking them around the property. And he's like, oh, bet you didn't know that. Bet you didn't know that. Bet you didn't know that carrot grows wild out in the land. Bet you didn't know that. And he picks it and then he eats it. And it turns out, oh, hey, it was hemlock. And that cousin dies like 2 hours later. And from that moment forward, Anja was fascinated by poisons. Like how someone could be there one moment and then dead the next. And that kicked off like a lifelong interest in her. She just kept encountering people who were very honest with her about things that she would ask. And then she ended up having this tutor who like, she hadn't had any interest in anything. And when he saw that she was super interested in that, he was like, okay, let's look into this. Let's explore. Like, you know, I see your passion in this. Let's go. And, you know, her dad thought it was kind of weird, but he's like, oh, she'll grow out of it, this, that, and the other. And she never did. And then she ends up making a career of this. And so king comes to her, you know, you can't really refuse the king. So she goes to stay at the castle and is going to try to figure out what the heck is wrong with Snow. And when she gets there, it seems like Snow might almost know what's poisoning her. At some point, she finds herself like she's testing for all this different stuff. Every once in a while, Snow gets really ill and, you know, she's vomiting and stuff like that is happening. She can't really hold on food, so then she'll just have to drink tea and this, that, and the other. And they're trying to figure out what it could possibly be. You know, she's watched all the time. She has a maid that's always with her and stuff. It's kind of hard to pinpoint until one day, Anja sees her and she's alone for a second out in the gardens. She sees Snow like duck down and she starts shoveling something into her mouth. So Anja runs over there, grabs it, and it's this like weird silver apple. Doesn't look like anything she's ever seen. It looks almost unearthly. It's got this like silver sheen to it, this, that, and the other. And Anja's like, okay, pretty sure I think this is what's poisoning her. All right. So she takes the apple. She's going to do some tests on it, take it back to her lab, try to figure out what this is. And she takes it back there. Does a bunch of tests, nothing's coming out for poison, everything seems okay, and she's like, well, maybe there's some weird magical elements to it, but she doesn't really believe in magic, but she feeds some to this rooster that she has that is kind of for testing purposes, and at first the rooster like refuses to eat it and is weird about it, and then eventually eats it. Nothing happens, and then she's like, okay, well maybe, she's like, it's gotta be this apple, there's nothing else, like everything she's tested, like she's gone through all the food, just switching out the food between the people that are eating it and like making sure all the glassware doesn't have lead in it and this, that, and the other. So she's like, okay, well, she's been someone who's ingests poison herself, you know, to see the effects of it and what will happen, obviously in diluted smaller doses, trying to find cures. So she decides she's going to eat a bit of this apple. And so she does. And then she's like, okay, I'm going to write maybe a note to the king, tell him she thinks she found the source, but she's not 100% sure, you know? And then she's like, decides that she doesn't like what she wrote and then crumples up the note. It's something that probably other people in the court shouldn't know about because any of them could be poisoning her. Who knows, you know? And then the cat comes in, Snow's cat, that is gray with one eye. And, you know, cats love crumpled up paper. And so the cat picks it up in his mouth and starts to run away. And so she goes to chase it. Oh, and also there's this giant mirror in her room because the queen, who is dead, had a fondness of mirrors. She came from this kingdom where they have these silver sands or whatever, and they made mirrors. And so all over the castle, there's all these mirrors. And so she's going to chase the cat, and then she kind of stumbles and tumbles. And also when she ate the apple, it was very cold, and it tasted like ice, and just had this weird feeling when she ate it. And so she's chasing this cat, and then she kind of tumbles, and she falls forward and into the mirror that is in her room. And then she's on the other side of the mirror. And then the cat talks to her. And then we have this whole mystery to be solved. And it turns out you can only go into the mirrors if you've eaten mirror food. The cat is a cat, so it only gives her bits and bobs and pieces of like what's going on. So she still has to figure out why Snow is eating this food and poisoning herself and what is going on. And it's part mystery. It's a little bit scary, but not really. It's cozy and disturbing and deranged at the same time, and it's weird and it's wacky and it's wonderful. I loved this retelling. Like I said, I think it's probably one of the best reimaginings of Snow White that I've ever come across. This one is exquisite and fantastic, and T. Kingfisher killed it. One of my other favorite retellings she does is Thornhedge, which is kind of like a Sleeping Beauty one, and that one is also fantastic. The writing is lovely, the characters are great. If you like T. Kingfisher, if you like fairy tale reimaginings, if you like stuff that's a little bit weird and on the odd side, the way and direction she takes the story in and how it all comes together is just awesome. Would highly, highly recommend. Have you read T. Kingfisher, and do you have a favorite book by them? Also, if you enjoyed hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.